Let me say something that might mess with some people a little bit. Some of the most spiritual moments in my life did not happen in church. They didn't happen during a worship set. They didn't happen during a sermon. They didn't happen with a guitar in my hands. They happened watching my kids learn to kneeboard. They happened driving a UTV through the woods. They happened writing a story at 2 a.m. They happened helping a business owner finally see their vision. And that used to confuse me because I love worship. I am a worship leader. So how can all of those things feel just as holy? If you have ADHD, if you're wired creatively, if you've ever felt like you don't quite fit the Christian mold, then this video is for you. One of the hardest things for me is that I'm wired like two people fighting inside of one body. If you're familiar with the Enneagram, I'm a 3 with a 4 wing. That basically means this. Part of me is a driven achiever, competitive, success-oriented, hyper-aware of how I'm perceived, and the other part of me is deeply creative, deeply emotional, and obsessed with authenticity. Those two sides do not get along. The Enneagram 3 in me is a chameleon. I'll walk into a room and I feel it instantly. Tension, excitement, awkwardness, power dynamics, all of it. And without even trying, I start adapting. If I'm with business owners, I become the business me. If I'm with church people, I become the church me. And if I'm with creatives, I become the artsy version of me. I don't mean to fake it, it just happens. But the Enneagram 4 side of me hates that. That side of me is constantly asking, is this real? Is this authentic? Is this who I actually am? So I end up stuck in this loop. Am I being flexible or am I being fake? Am I growing or am I just blending in? Now add ADHD to that, which means my brain is constantly scanning, shifting, reacting, chasing stimulation, and suddenly I don't even know who I am sometimes. This gets really complicated when you bring faith into it, because you hear one preacher say one thing and another preacher say the opposite. One says, this is what it means to follow Jesus. Another said, no, this is what it means. One says speaking in tongues are essential. Another says they aren't. One says structure matters most, and another says spontaneity matters most. And my brain goes, which one is right? Because if God is real and the Holy Spirit is real, how can everyone be hearing something different? The Enneagram 4 in me wants deep truth, and the Enneagram 3 in me wants certainty. But Christianity often feels messy, and honestly, sometimes it feels fake. Like people are just repeating the phrases they were trained to say. And for someone who craves authenticity, that can be painful. Now, let's talk about worship. If I say worship, you probably think of music. Phil Wickham, Chris Tomlin, Brandon Lake. Lights, haze, hands raised, emotions. And I believe all of that to be good. Music is worship. And God has given me a gift to lead people through music. Not because I'm the best singer or musician, but because somehow He uses what I have. I don't deserve it. I can't explain it. But I've also learned something. In a Lutheran church, worship isn't just the band. It's the liturgy, the prayers, the sacraments, the order of service. The whole thing is worship. So if worship can look different in church, why would we assume it only happens in church? Now here's something I've noticed about myself. When worship is real, when something is aligned, I feel it. Not emotional manipulation, not hype, but that quiet, deep sense of this is right. I feel it in worship music, but I also feel it when I'm writing something meaningful. When a client suddenly sees their own story clearly. When my kids succeed, when I'm in nature, when I create. Same feeling, different form. It's like God saying, I'm here. And I think for people wired like us, ADHD, creative, empathetic, that feeling is one of the main ways God speaks.
This whole ministry mumbo jumbo stuff, I don't buy that. I think you are who you are, and you just live your life, and eventually we'll all be dead, and it will probably matter very little that any of us actually lived, except to God who made us. And the only way we can possibly do anything meaningful to God is to be who He made us to be. And the rest of this stuff about doing stuff for God and this and that, I think is a bunch of hype. If I were going to be a good car, if Mr. Ford had invented me and I wanted to bring Mr. Ford glory, what would I do? I wouldn't go conquer countries. I wouldn't plow fields. I would simply be a car. And so I think, and the God created me, I need simply to be a person. And I think that God looks down and gets a big kick out of people. But what He finds are a bunch of heroes. And I think He's bored with heroism. And I think, it's just a matter of just being who you are.
In other words, things are designed to be what they are, not what something else is. And somehow we've convinced ourselves that the only holy life is one specific shape. If you don't worship like them, look like them, serve like them, pray like them, create like them, you must be doing it wrong. But God didn't make clones. He made you. If you have ADHD, your brain is not broken. I think it's high-powered. You see patterns, you feel energy. You imagine things other people don't. Some days you love mowing the lawn. Some days you love creating. Some days you love building. Some days you just need movement. And that's not a problem. It's a multi-instrument. And I think we need to stop trying to turn it into a one-string guitar. Now here's the anchor. Gratitude. When you feel gratitude, real gratitude, you're worshiping. Not just when you sing, but when you appreciate beauty, enjoy your kids and your family, when you love what you create, when you feel awe in nature, when you help someone succeed. That's worship. It's acknowledging God's goodness and what He made. That's what He delights in. So here's the truth. You don't have to worship like Phil Wickham. You don't have to live in someone else's lane. You don't have to be less of who you are to be holy. God didn't make you to be a copy. He made you to be you. Your ADHD, your creativity, your curiosity, your intensity, your love of many things. It's not something to fix. It's something to steward. And when you live with gratitude inside of that, that's worship.